Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Okay, welcome back. It's our tradition to go around the room and introduce ourselves. So I'll start. My name is Grisha.
Alex. Luis.
Greg.
This is Henry.
Clark.
Stefan.
My name is Jerry.
I'm Ed.
Bob.
I'm Brad.
Michael.
Jim.
Jack.
I'm Richard.
My name is Cass.
My name is Ronnie.
Jim.
Jeff.
Tristan. I'll introduce you. I'm here, Bob and Michael, Dave, Christian, Tom, Ron, Daniel, Clint, Brian, Jim, Samuel, and Rich. Welcome. And Marcus just walked in too. So welcome everyone. I think you see all familiar faces. So let me introduce Prasadachitta, who was ordained into the Triratna Buddhist Order in 2011, and he became chair of the San Francisco Buddhist Center, where we meet every week in this lovely shrine room, in April of 2022. He was born on a Back to the Land commune in rural Northern California, and that background has inspired his engagement with others in building the San Francisco Buddhist Center's rural meditation center called Dharmadhara. He has also helped establish a community of sangha members who support retreats there. He supports himself as a documentary filmmaker and a photographer, but his real life's work is training others who want to practice Buddhism within the Triratna Buddhist Community. Okay.
Thank you, Grisha. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I thoroughly enjoy this community all the times I've been here. I just start with thanking the Buddha and my teachers in this community, the Triratna Buddhist Community, as well as all the influences I have throughout the Buddhist tradition. And see, Jeff suggested that I lead us in some chanting today. And so before I do that, I thought I would say a few words. I don't know how familiar people are. I know that this is sort of somewhat of an amalgamation of people with different practice backgrounds. In Triratna, or in our community, chanting is a kind of puja, or referred to as puja, so roughly is like devotional practice. So I thought I would say a little bit about that. It's interesting because, in any community you have people with different affinities. Like in our community there are people who are much kind of more into puja and imaginal practice, and I'm not one of those people. Yeah, but I am part of this community. I've been through a lot of ritual. I've done a lot of chanting, and it is kind of a community practice. And it includes a lot of imagery, and we do have a sort of learning program where we create a context for understanding what it means. So I'm going to try to convey a little bit of that. Depending on how any one of us as Buddhists have digested the Buddhist tradition, we've gotten maybe something like the Four Noble Truths. Maybe we've learned something about emptiness, or there are various aspects of the Buddhist tradition that address the cognitive mind, the sort of rational mind. You can come along and say, there is suffering, and if that's not something you're working with, then cool. The teaching is that the suffering, is composite. Like, the suffering doesn't just happen; it comes together in dependence upon specific causes and conditions. Right? Like all things we experience come together. In a sense, situational, conditional, and those things are changing all the time. So, like, nothing is. We can't necessarily explain any given phenomena, but we can trust, in a sense, that any given phenomena has its own conditional matrix, so to speak, its own conditional situational supports, and if those supports are not there, that situation would not be like that. Yeah, and so the second noble truth says that suffering is one of these things. Among all things that are conditioned, so is suffering. And that means that we can learn about it and allow the conditions that cause suffering to be perpetuated to cease through awareness. Second noble truth. Third noble truth, that happens. Like, suffering does cease. Suffering can be understood, and the conditions can be sort of allowed not to occur, so to speak, in an individual and in a community and in a world. And of course, the last noble truth is the Eightfold Path. I like to simplify it down to the Threefold Path: meditation, ethics, meditation, and wisdom, which together undermine and bring a cessation to the causes of suffering. So that you can sit around, you can think about that, you can think about your life. You can think about, the conditions of suffering. And anyway, it addresses the cognitive mind. It's definitely, I found it quite amenable to contemplation about how to be a person in the world, how to view difficulty from an empowered point of view. Like, it's I don't need to be confused about suffering. I can meditate on the ways in which I perpetuate difficulty in my life and in the life of others every day. I can feel some remorse about that and make, not just feel guilty, but make some, helpful use out of that remorse, like turn it into grist for the mill, like be inspired to be a better person every day, not beat myself up, but make good use of the world and the rational way I can actually see how I'm making suffering happen. Okay, so that's all. Most Buddhists kind of understand that, I think. And then there is another way to approach practice, which is less rational, not irrational, but just not addressed to the rational mind, right? That's what chanting is a part of. And there are a lot of this. There's a lot of images in the Buddhist tradition, images like the world tree, which can inform our practice. The world tree. The Buddha meditated under the Bodhi tree, and the Bodhi tree is like an image of the world tree. You might say that, like, we can feel, as we meditate, we can feel like a tree. This is just like a basic metaphor for Buddhist practice, that a tree has roots. It's supported by the solidity of the earth. And when you meditate, you can feel the world tree. You can feel, in a sense, that you're opening up to the depths and breadth of support of the gravity of the earth. And you're opening up to the sky. You're opening up. And like that kind of imagery, I could talk about it, but it's meaningful for me in practice. I can feel the space, the sky, the support, the earth. I'm opening up to all of my darkest corners of my life. Who knows what will come up in my mind in meditation. If I'm blocking anything, then my meditation is not full. It's not wholehearted. Anyway, imagery can actually help us have a kind of posture in meditation that neither accepts nor blocks anything. And I think the world tree is that. It opens to the sky, to light, to spaciousness, as well as solidity and darkness and depth and dampness. And, these are all, it's all imagery. It has no rational, what does that mean? I don't know. But it actually helps meditation to have these images. Another image is that the Buddha was enlightened with the protection of this great serpent that rose up behind the Buddha and sheltered the Buddha from the rain. Can you just imagine that? Just this, right? Like, I don't know, that has no rational, but like, there's something about that. It's like, there's like an integrative idea in that, some kind of deep meaning in that, where the serpent sort of represents the depths of the human psyche, right? And like, and kind of integration where you're on the same team, even though there's all kinds of things in us that we may want to not look at. It's like the sense that like that is there. You're on the same team. You're being protected by your depths, by the most ugly things that maybe you could think. You know, somehow you're just open. It's all on the same team. You don't know why, you don't know how, but like the serpent is protecting you. It's like, shh. So I'm just trying to give examples of how the Buddhist tradition approaches us not just rationally about our practice, but in a way that it's not irrational. It has reason and purpose, but not reason and purpose that addresses the kind of contemplative mind that uses logic. Yeah? So, so chanting is like that. So we're going to chant, and I'm going to introduce us to a couple of figures that actually are behind the chanting. And one of the chants we're going to do today is connected to green Tara, okay? Again, I don't know who may have heard of green Tara, but green Tara is a deep and meaningful image that comes out of the South Indian tradition. Green Tara is born from a lake of tears. Yeah, she rises up from a lake of tears. And I'm not sure how traditional this is, but I associate also green Tara with, there was a moment that the Buddha was enlightened. And the Buddha touched the earth. It's almost like having a sense of doubt that he was in the right place at the right time to be an enlightened being. And out of the earth came a goddess halfway out of the earth to basically recognize the Buddha's, in a sense, right to be enlightened, to be in the right place, to stand on the diamond throne, sit on the diamond throne. And again, this is just, I've had teachers associate green Tara with that kind of recognition, rising out of the earth, this kind of supportiveness, coming from a recognition that we are beings who deserve, in a sense, to wake up. Also, green Tara is associated with the forest. She sits on this great green lotus, but rather than just being a meditation posture, she's perpetually she's like this, but she's perpetually stepping off the lotus, like into the world. She represents compassionate activity, not just compassion writ large, but the actual action of moving towards suffering for the purpose of alleviation of that suffering. So she's constantly stepping off the lotus, but she's still meditating too. She's also holding this great kind of intricate lotus that just kind of swirls around her. So she's holding this flower, she's stepping off, and that's the image that she is. Let's see. She's very popular in our tradition. Our founding teacher received this, sort of initiated into this tradition by a Tibetan teacher and one of his main teachers. I think that's all I'll say about green Tara. But think of lakes, lake of tears. The tears, by the way, were Avalokiteshvara cried Lake of Tears. Avalokiteshvara is an image of. So all these, just to say this, that these images are kind of interconnected. They're stories that weave them together. Avalokiteshvara, who is also Kuan Yin, which is a Chinese figure, basically is Avalokiteshvara in a different form. Avalokiteshvara is over here on a painting with 1,000 arms. Avalokiteshvara has different images, but along with crying a lake of tears, Avalokiteshvara, just like his response to all the varied varieties of suffering which his mind was able to take in, like that means that he grew 1,000 arms, and each one had a little way of helping every being. And then his head just went, broke into, I forgot how many heads, but there's a whole bunch of them. If you're going to cry a lake of tears, you need a lot of eyes. At any rate, we're going to do Green Tara, who came out of this lake of tears and is the actual action of compassion. So that's what we're going to do next. I also want to suggest that while we chant Green Tara, just as an invitation, we can come up, and there's a bowl full of jewels here that we can offer to Green Tara. And you can think of this actual figure of this beautiful green woman that represents compassionate action. And you can just think of compassionate action itself as if compassionate action is a being, right? Like of its own accord, in its own right. Throughout, wherever the universe has any active compassion, that is Green Tara. That is her body. So what I'm suggesting is we can offer a jewel to Green Tara. If we like, you can stay in your seat and offer psychically, or your chanting is also an offering. There's no special way to bow if you come up. You don't have to bow at all. You can just put a jewel on the shrine, whatever works for you. So now I have to teach you the mantra. There is Om. It starts with Om. We've all heard Om. Tare. Om Tare. Tu Tare. Tu Re. Swaha. Svaha. SVWA. Om Tare. And I'll just do it for you a bit so you can hear it. Om Tare. Tu Tare. Tu Re. Swaha. And we're going to do a slightly energetic, it actually has a kind of tune to it. So it's Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re, Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re, Swaha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re, Swaha. Om Tare, Tu. Okay. So, is that? I'm just throwing it out. Yes.
Does it have any other specific meaning, those words?
No, where there's seed syllables associated with her. And the traditional line is that meaning comes in the sound. Meaning like the sounds themselves represent her spirit. Does that make sense? No, they don't mean anything.
Yes, but these particular words,
the syllables themselves do have a kind of network of connotation. They're not literal one-for-one meaning. Like Om, for example, has a lot of different meanings that have to do with sort of connectivity, holisticness. Tare is her name. Svaha is kind of like a word. It's a syllable that is connected with going beyond. That it's like the meaning that sort of always transcends itself. Svaha.
Is there a meaning with the svaha of her stepping off the lotus? Because you're stepping beyond into the world.
Could be. And these are the kinds of things that actually, in a sense, if you start practicing like this, you actually think about, that's beautiful. You would do that and you would constantly be contemplating Tara. If you're a Tara practitioner, and that's the thing about our community, there's a bunch of people who practice thinking about this and contemplating what she means, who she is. And of course, contemplation is more than just cognitive, connecting meaning with certain symbols, which is great. But it's also felt. Then you feel, what does it feel like to imagine that stepping off, svaha? So if you make that connection, you can make it deeper by thinking about it more and feeling how the mind responds to it regularly. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I want to say that that's true, and Tara has a whole bunch of other symbols. She's wearing this crown. I can just go on and on. She's wearing this special crown that has 5 special wisdoms on it. And these 5 special wisdoms correspond to the 5 different aspects of awakening. And anyway, the point is that I'm not going to go through all of those symbols right now, but you can start to make those connections. And that's kind of how this tradition works that way, is it layers meaning on all these different visual and color, green, sounds, images like stepping off the lotus. Yeah. Any other questions about me? I can tell you more about Green Tara, but...
I think in some traditions, even if you don't know what those connotations,
yes,
etc., supposedly chanting those words in that tune, I don't know how to say it, give you blessing or whatever.
Yes.
Is that what this lineage?
I mean, rather than saying that, because I think so, yes, definitely. And you just do it. And, what does blessing mean? Well, you find out more than you know beforehand. But I will tell you that I was, uncertain about what this all was about, and now I've been doing it for 20 years, and sometimes you just feel like Tara's in the room. And all of the little things you've learned, like the stepping off and the svaha, all sort of come together in a sense of presence that is shared and has something to do with compassion. Yeah.
The kindergarten teacher in me needs you to go like syllable by syllable. Like, can you call and respond slowly first?
Okay. Tare.
Tare.
Tu tare tu re.
Tu tare tu re.
Svaha tare.
Svaha tare.
Yeah. So.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
It doesn't. And, thank you all for, I'm not the best person to lead chanting. There's some people who are really very good at the tones, and I've never been trained in music, but just don't worry about it. You guys are doing great already.
Can we do that once more? The kindergarten.
Yes. Tare.
Tare.
Tu tare tu re.
Tu tare tu re.
Svaha tare.
Svaha tare.
Tu tare tu re.
Tu tare tu re.
Svaha tare.
Svaha tare.
Okay, so, and just to be clear, the end of the mantra is actually svaha. I just, for some reason, the way the cadence is, I like to end with it, if you see what I mean. So it's tare, tu tare, svaha. Okay, good. So again, if you want to come up and make an offering, that's fine. We'll maintain the mantra for a while, and at some point, the way we do this is it mysteriously, quietly starts to get quieter and quieter until we're done. That's how it works, or doesn't. So what we'll do, and the way we usually do this, is just we kind of sit for a few minutes quietly, and then I will do the mantra twice, and then we all join in. So, yeah. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha. 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 Beautiful. So not all of the chants that we do have like a being or a figure like Ringkara. Some of them are about either particular teachings, like the Heart Sutra you may have heard. Maybe you've heard Gate Gate Parsam Gate Bodhisattva. You'll hear that in Zen circles a lot, but it's basically a mantra about that is connected to the Prajnaparamita Sutra, or the Heart Sutra, which is one of the Prajnaparamita Sutras. And Prajnaparamita is also a figure, so sometimes Prajnaparamita is a golden-like woman Buddha that is the mother of all Buddhas, but it's connected with a particular text. But also particular ideas. And maybe you've heard of the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva is the arising of the will to enlightenment for the sake of all beings. And there's a mantra just for the Bodhisattva, just for the arising of the Bodhisattva. And that was the next one I was going to teach you. And it's a little bit ambitious. But I wanted to do it anyway. And it sort of arises with with Avalokiteshvara, which is Om Mani Padme Hum, which most people have heard. Om Mani Padme Hum. And the beginning, and the mantra goes in. This mantra has different parts, but the Om Mani Padme Hum is like kind of going underneath everything. Okay, so it has like a beat to it. So it goes Om Mani Padme Hum, 2, 3, 4. Om Mani Padme Hum, 2, 3. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So the first Om is a bit long. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Okay, let's stop. So there's that. We're going to start with that. And then there's the arising of the bodhicitta. And that goes Om Bodhicitta Upadayami. Om Bodhicitta Upadayami. Om Bodhicitta Upadayami. And underneath that, some people are going to keep doing the Om Mani Padme Hum. Does that make sense? Yes. Let's just try that. First of all, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm always amazed that this happens when we have a room full of people. I'm always like, I can't believe it works. But okay, so we're going to do the Om Mani Padme Hum again. Okay. And then at some point, I'm going to switch into the other one. Okay. And some of us can join, and all of us might end up doing it, and that's fine too. But some of us, you might just be fine with the Om Mani Padme Hum underneath. Okay. All right. So Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Bodhicitta Upadayami. Om There's actually a third part.
You know how old we are.
It's the same. It's actually really long, and it goes Om Bodhisattva Utpadayami. Okay, that's so we'll try that. And so we'll start with Om Mani Padme Hum. We'll do that a little bit. And then we'll switch into Om Bodhisattva Utpadayami quicker. And then I'll start doing the long one that goes over the whole top.
Did we rehearse the long one a couple
Yes.
times?
Okay. Here we go. Om Bodhisattva Utpadayami. Om Bodhisattva Utpadayami. Om Bodhisattva Utpadayami. Om Bodhisattva Utpadayami. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm the best person for the tone and everything, but I think people who are musically inclined usually get it. So, let's see. It's actually almost noon. We end at noon, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just end there, just to say, like, chanting can be very, very simple. So, just to say, often people who want to start leading a chant, like in the community, if they're not musically minded, will just do Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So do you see what I mean? Like,
Right.
if they're like, please lead us in one, and they'll be like, I'll just lead that one.
Does that fit in KM3? So you can actually have 4?
No, Om Mani Padme Hum is the beginning for the Utpadayami one.
Okay.
And the kind of the background. But if you just wanted to do a simple one without any kind of musical inclination, you could do the Om Mani Padme Hum in a monotone. But usually we do it with some kind of musical. There's a lot of and interestingly, in our community, people are making them up all the time. So you'll go on a retreat and you'll be like, "Whoa, I've never heard it like that before." People start doing it, So I'll just end there, and if we have any questions, because we usually go to we can. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds good. Questions?
What's that picture that today is on altar?
See, I didn't know this picture was here, but that's Manjushri. Manjushri has a flaming sword above his head, and he's holding the Prajnaparamita Sutras, which kind of cut through all of our ruminative gunk. And get to the heart of things. Like, get rid of your superfluous ideas. And that's what Manjushri is about. Flaming sword. Yeah.
Is that Sanskrit?
Which one?
The chant
All of
that we
it?
were...
Yes, actually, they are Sanskrit. That's right. Yeah. They're hybrid Buddhist Sanskrit, which I don't even know what that means. Meaning it's not exactly the same as a lot of the modern Hindu Sanskrit. Yeah.
I've heard it said that, in silent meditation retreats, people get very tired. But at chanting retreats, people are out all night. This generates a lot of energy.
We usually do meditation all morning in silence, and then sometime in the afternoon we do chanting. So you can see why that would make sense.
I liked how you set it up, and that you talked about it being ritual but also devotional, and that you prepare by getting in a place where you are, say, radically inclusive of anything that comes to your mind. Any consciousness is there's room here for it.
Yes.
And therefore whole. Yeah.
Thank you. I actually wore a blue shirt today on purpose because the generally speaking, these images, when you contemplate them, you start with this image of the blue sky in all directions, down, up. There's this image of just being in the blue sky, which can accommodate anything. So anything that comes up is sort of just absorbed into the blue sky over and over again, and then you start sort of maybe bringing to mind green Tara after a while. But and a lot of this is transmitted, just to say, a lot of this is transmitted as a visual idea, like using your visual faculties, which is a part of only one portion of your imagination. I am not a visualizer, but the blue sky is very meaningful for me. Anyway, like the tree has meaning for me. I don't visualize a tree, but it's very meaningful. Anyway, I just want to say, for those of us who don't rely heavily on our visual and imaginal faculty, it's important to remember that these are not just visual things in your imagination.
So this is maybe synchronicitous. I haven't been to Jigyo since the pandemic. And somehow in my mind I thought that Dharmadhara would be speaking today. And so when I first walked in, I was like, that's kind of disappointing. But when you spoke about Tara, I had a Tibetan Terrio for 13 years, and I still practice Tibetan Buddhism. And so I named her Tara in honor of Tara. And I happen to believe that she was like an emanation of Tara, and had like dreams, and I still have dreams and visions of her. Both the dog in that form, but also Tara in her various other forms, including white Tara and green Tara, and oddly enough, red Tara. An obscure-ish practice. And so thank you for sharing that. It was one of the highlights of my year. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought some of you might have some background in this, but that's kind of how you guys practice. There's always these different presentations, and I really appreciate that about you as a community. I don't necessarily know what background anyone has, but I love that we sort of can sit together with whatever that Buddhist practice is.
Anybody online? Questions?
So does your community have like a daily chanting practice here or anywhere?
On Sangha night, we often chant.
Sunday night?
On Sangha night, which is Wednesday night here. It's not always. It's just something we do sometimes, depending on... we've thought about doing like a Friday night puja thing, which would be... So a lot of our chanting happens in the context of what we call puja, which are recitation of text, mostly connected with a book called the Bodhisattva, which is a 5th century text by Shantideva, and it's lots of words about devotion to the Buddhas and that kind of thing. But so anyway, we have a puja where we recite some texts, and inside of that we do chanting. I will say part of one of the times I was here, I did at the end we do the transference of merit and self-surrender. That's actually a derivative of Shantideva. Just to the way you guys say it too is from a lot of those words are from Shantideva. Just to be, you say it a little different, but anyway, the whole thing of may the merit gain from whatever we've done here go to the benefit of all being. It's a lot of that anyway. Yeah.
Cool. Well, sometime I would like to hear more about your community, and if you could talk about it.
Sure. I'd be happy to.
All right.
Thank you.
Our host.
Yes, please stay and enjoy the company of the sangha. There are cookies and mandarin oranges. Some of them home-baked, some came from a package. If you have tea, just please leave your cup in the sink and I will deal with that. I'll be coming around with the Dharma bowl. Your generosity is appreciated. Donations in the range of $10 to $20 are most welcome. We use this for the honorarium for our speakers, the rent for this beautiful center, and our quarterly newsletter that goes out mostly to people in prison. There's a newcomers sign-up sheet on the credenza if you'd like to be on our list. And there's also a Google group where things get posted. Some members go out to lunch, so they usually meet at the door at 12:30, and you might consider inviting someone to join you. And off script, we have our annual retreat this year at the Land of Medicine Buddha, which is just absolutely a gorgeous place. It's in SoCal, California. And Donald Rothberg is going to be our teacher.
I got something.
So save the dates, October 20th to the 22nd, and more information will be forthcoming, but just so save the date.
If you'd like to take chanting deeper, in India, I'm going to be co-leading a group November 11th through 25.
Other announcements? Thank you for Luis, who's decided to step up as a Zoom Hilda and help set up today. Thank you. And if anybody else wants to step up and do service at the sangha, learning how to set up all the equipment, and on Zoom, if you're regular, you could consider being a Zoom host so that you can at least manage the online portion. So reach out to me if you like. Next week is John Martin. He teaches Vipassana, Insight, Metta, Loving Kindness, and LGBTQIA meditation retreats. He leads an ongoing weekly Monday evening meditation group in San Francisco. He serves as co-chair of the Guiding Teachers Council of Spirit Rock. His practice has been supported by 12 years as hospice volunteer, including 5 years at Chanting Project during the AIDS crisis and 7 years with the Zen Hospice Project. So he'll be here next week. And if there's nothing else, we will gather for our dedication. Prasadachitta, do you want to lead it?
Sure. May the merit gained in our acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings, our personalities throughout our existences, our possessions, and our merits in all three ways we give up without regard to ourselves for the benefit of all beings, just as the earth and other elements are serviceable in many ways to the infinite number of beings inhabiting limitless space, so may we become that which maintains all beings, situated throughout space, so long as all have not attained to peace.
Thank you, Prasadachitta.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.